So come about 1910, this guy named Schlittiken, according to research by Don Wirtschafter, started inventing a machine that was like the cotton gin. It dropped the labor involved in hemp to 100-fold from its previous price. It went from, I think, 50 cents a pound to half a cent a pound. And hemp became incredibly inexpensive. And when that happened, the petrochemical industry was just starting to synthesize petroleum to be like hemp seed oil and other vegetable oils to run diesel engines. And so at that time, petroleum wasn't the predominant fuel. Most people grew their fuels, you know, their illuminants, they called it, for their lamps before electricity, and they'd eat the stuff left over. And with hemp, they called it gruel, which was a pretty basic food that was very high in the essential fatty acids, just like it is today. It's very healthy food. But the petrochemical industries realized that hemp was their main competitor, that hemp produced 3 times more seed oil than any other plant out there, and that's still true today. According to a study out of Notre Dame that was published in a magazine called The Midlands Naturalist back in 1975, this article is called Feral Hemp in Southern Illinois. According to that study, the wild hemp that was growing on the riverside in southern Illinois produced 4 tons of seeds. When you take 4 tons of seed and you press it, you get 300 gallons of oil. Now that oil is not only very nutritious, it can also be put right into any diesel engine, and with no conversion to the diesel engine, it can run your diesel engine. Now the other seed oil crops right now are soybeans, sunflower seeds, and canola, or rapeseed. You know, it's rapeseed, and then when they press it, they call it canola oil. Each of those produce 100 to 120 gallons of oil per acre. And you know, that's mainly what we're driving today when we're driving biodiesel vehicles. You're driving those seed oils, and it runs the diesel engines just fine, as most of us know. But hemp is 3 times more productive. And the byproduct from making oil from hemp is 3 tons of high protein. You start with 4 tons of hemp seeds, you press it, you get 300 gallons of oil and 4 tons of high protein hemp seed meal. Yeah. So that's not the only thing you get. You know, just think, if we, just with that alone though, if we grew all of our fuel from hemp, all those barrels of oil, for every barrel of oil, there's 50 gallons, there's going to be a half a ton of high protein hemp seed meal left over to wipe out world hunger. And then there's another byproduct, the fiber byproduct. You're going to get about 25 tons of hemp hurd fiber. Hemp herds also make paper. There's a bulletin from the USDA back in 1916, USDA Bulletin 404. Lester Dewey. It's called Hemp Herds as a Paper Making Material. And that report said that hemp produces 4 times more paper per acre than trees. Well, that's a waste product when you're growing hemp for seed oil. And that waste product can make most of our paper needs and our building materials. You can glue that stuff together the same way they glue together wood fibers today. And then the other byproduct, not just is the hurd fiber, but also 6 to 8 tons of bast fiber. Now, that's the highest quality plant fiber you can have. It's used to make canvas, rope, lace, and linen. And in fact, a lot of the antique linens and laces out there are made from marijuana stems, from hemp fiber. And so your average acre of hemp is going to produce 300 gallons of oil, 3 tons of high protein hemp seed meal, 25 tons of hemp bast fiber for paper and building materials, and 6 to 10 tons of hemp hurd fiber. Actually, the hurd fiber is the 25 tons, and the bast fiber is the 6 to 10 tons. But the bast fiber can be used to make canvas, rope, lace, and linen. And I think it's the seed oil that's the real key here. And that when we legalize marijuana and allow unregulated industrial hemp to become predominant again, the petrochemical industries are going to lose their market hold. We're going to see a decentralization of the economy. We're not going to see the money being sent to the sheiks and the oil companies, the despotic governments around the world that depend on it in Nigeria and the Middle East. We're going to see the money going to the farmers and to the local economy. And that's the key. That's what the petrochemical industry does not want. They want us to keep pouring our money into their industries that are capital intensive. It takes so much money to drill for oil, none of us can compete. And it takes billions of dollars, tens of billions, to refine petroleum into all the different products we use to make from it today. But hemp seed oil and hemp, you get a seed oil press for $2,000, and any farmer can get all the oil he needs to run his tractors, feed his family, and ship the rest to support the local energy market. And I look forward to the day when that's going to happen. You know, what we are really here working for today is to end adult marijuana prohibition. We want to end adult marijuana prohibition. We want to make it legal. We want to see it where it's legally sold to adults over the counter. We want to see it where adults can grow their own with no license whatsoever. I mean, why, you know, you don't need a license to make your own beer or wine. It's only when you start selling it that you need a license. So we want to see unlicensed personal cultivation. We want to see unregulated hemp. Right now, you look at the industrial hemp market out there, and in Canada and Europe, they're limited to less than 1% THC, in some cases 0.5% THC in their plants. What they do, and that's why the petrochemical industries really allow that and support it, because what they do is they breed out the THC, and by breeding out the THC, they breed out the flowers. By breeding out the flowers, they're breeding out the seeds, and that's the food and the protein that hemp should be making. And when we restore it to its natural place, we're going to see a boom for all of our farmers, for all our local economies, and the decentralization of wealth as it should be, I think. So that's the dream, and that's what we're working for, to restore industrial hemp and to help medical marijuana patients. And I think, you know, we've got our clinics, and they've done a lot to help us get this thing going. But I look forward to the day when our clinics are put out of business by legal marijuana and unregulated industrial hemp. And that's what we're working for. We're working to make it where our clinics basically don't have a job anymore because people can grow their own without a license. And that'll be a happy day. And we're going to keep working toward it.